Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack a pretty dramatic reality that is unfolding right under our noses. Look, the fundamental rules of money, of wealth generation, and just general market participation, they are being completely rewritten. And the wild part is, it isn't happening on cable news, and it definitely isn't happening in those noisy trading pits anymore.
There's a quote from the source material that really sets the stage here. It says, "The greatest transfer of wealth in human history is happening right now, in the absolute dead of night." Now just think about that for a second. It doesn't involve bank robbers, it doesn't involve politicians, and quite frankly, it doesn't involve us. It involves them, the algorithms. While we're all fast asleep, millions of lines of code are actively dividing up the spoils. They don't panic, they don't get greedy, they definitely don't hesitate. By the time you wake up, check your portfolio on your phone, and, pour your morning coffee, the battle's already over.
And here's the metric that absolutely proves it. Over 70% of all trading volume today is algorithmic. 70%. For decades, the stock market was this entirely human game, right? It was driven by our psychology, our collective fear, our greed. But that era is definitively over. We're not just talking about simple automated bots executing basic limit orders anymore. We have entered a completely new era dominated by hyper-advanced artificial intelligence. It marks a permanent shift away from messy human emotion straight into cold, calculated, institutional logic.
Section 1. The Silent Algorithmic Coup.
So we've essentially transitioned out of a human-driven market into this entirely new ecosystem. Today's machine learning models can read millions of news articles in a single millisecond. They're literally analyzing satellite imagery of retail parking lots just to predict a company's quarterly earnings before they even happen. In short, they're predicting human behavior far, far better than we humans can ourselves. And because of that massive asymmetry, wealth is being systematically siphoned. It's moving directly from the emotional retail investor, the person trading on gut feelings and messy psychology, straight into the calculated vaults of institutional AI. This silent coup is basically farming everyday retail traders for liquidity. When you react with fear or greed, the machine is just sitting there, perfectly calm, ready to profit off your very human reaction.
Section 2. Inside the Black Box.
So the crucial point here is to survive this new era, you absolutely have to understand what you're up against. You need to know your enemy, and that means we got to open up the hood. An AI trading bot isn't just one big clunky program. It's actually divided into 3 hyper-complex, distinct layers that work seamlessly together. Step 1 is the sentiment scraper. Step 2 is the predictive engine. And Step 3 is the execution protocol. Let's move to the next slide and see how this builds, because breaking these down is super important. Okay, let's walk through these using some simple analogies. Layer 1, the sentiment scraper. I like to call this the ultimate eavesdropper. Right now, as we speak, it's reading every single global tweet, every Reddit post, every financial headline. It even gets sarcasm. And get this, it goes as far as analyzing the actual audio frequencies of a CEO's voice during an earnings call to detect anxiety. It'll short the stock before the poor guy even finishes clearing his throat. Then we have layer 2, the predictive engine, or the master detective. This AI doesn't just react, it anticipates. It finds patterns that are completely invisible to the human eye. For instance, it might notice that, hey, every single time the price of copper drops in Chile, this highly specific tech stock in California dips exactly 3 days later. It builds these massive, insane global connections that no human analyst could ever possibly map out. And finally, layer 3, the execution protocol. Meet the speed demon. This is high-frequency trading. It places trades in literally microseconds. By the time your finger physically clicks buy on your phone's trading app, the AI has already bought the stock, driven the price up, and sold it back to you at a premium. You didn't even really make a trade. You were just farmed for liquidity.
So when you look at it like that, there is a stark, obvious contrast here. On one side, we have the retail investor. We glance at a few charts, maybe skim a financial report, and ultimately, we're driven by our messy emotions like fear and greed. On the other side, institutional AI. It's consuming humanity's entire digital footprint in real time, operating on instant, flawless logic. It is perfectly organized. This right here shows exactly why the day trading game is completely rigged against the individual.
Section 3. The Illusion of Control.
So, what on earth happens when these perfectly logical machines make a mistake, or worse, start fighting each other? Well, welcome to the terrifying reality of the flash crash. See, when humans panic, we tend to freeze, right? We hesitate. But when AI panics, it accelerates. In 1,000th of a second, bot A detects a sudden anomaly and starts selling. Just 2,000ths of a second later, bot B sees bot A selling and instantly shorts the market to capitalize. Another 0.02 of a second passes, and bot C sees this massive combined momentum and just dumps absolutely everything. This entire chain reaction, which is capable of wiping out trillions of dollars in market cap, happens in the literal time it takes you to blink your eyes.
This perfectly exposes the illusion of control. We, as everyday retail investors, are allowed to play in the sandbox, sure, but make no mistake, the AI completely owns the playground. When you try to day trade against an artificial intelligence, you aren't bringing a knife to a gunfight. You are bringing a knife to a drone fight. The institutions deploying these models are no longer just predicting the market. They literally are the market. Wealth is being transferred mostly because too many people just refuse to accept that the rules of the game changed overnight.
Section 4. The micro-SaaS revolution.
Now, what's really interesting about this next part is, if day trading is a rigged game, where exactly is the opportunity? How can we actually participate in this massive wealth transfer without getting completely crushed by it? Well, the answer isn't to fight the machines. It's to build them. And this brings us to the rise of micro-SaaS. This is where solo founders are using no-code tools and AI to build highly specific niche software solutions. They solve small, frankly, kind of boring problems for other businesses in exchange for a predictable monthly subscription. This is the new digital real estate, folks, and it is completely insulated from all that frantic algorithmic volatility we just talked about.
You see, you don't need a massive Wall Street firm to leverage AI anymore. You really just need a laptop and an internet connection. While everyone else is distracted by the flashing red and green stock charts, the real wealth transfer is happening quietly behind the scenes. It's moving from old, inefficient, traditional businesses directly into the hands of agile, AI-empowered individuals who are building predictable, useful solutions.
Section 5. Winning the long game.
So look, the algorithmic coup is not the end of the road. It's simply an evolution. To survive, the strategy for the future is to move to the absolute extremes. You have two highly actionable paths forward here. Extreme 1, become the builder. Step out of the casino entirely and create predictable, recurring cash flow by building micro-SaaS using AI tools, just like we discussed. Extreme 2, become the ultimate long-term holder. If you are going to invest, buy fundamentally world-changing assets, and then, and this is absolutely crucial, log out. Seriously, do not look at the daily charts. By doing this, you completely starve those high-frequency trading bots of the emotional liquidity they thrive on. You remove their ability to trigger your emotional stop losses.
The reason this strategy works is actually pretty simple. To survive, you just have to do what the eavesdropper, the detective, and the speed demon simply cannot do. AI operates purely on past data, cold logic, and short-term microsecond optimization. But the human advantage? We can hold a 10-year vision. We have a fundamental desire for future innovation. Machines can meticulously read the data of the past, but they absolutely cannot dream of the future.
Which leaves us with this final thought. The AI wealth transfer is really only a threat to you if you insist on playing their rigged short-term game. So, the question is, are you going to keep bringing a knife to a drone fight, or are you ready to step outside the black box entirely and start playing your own game? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I genuinely hope it completely shifts how you look at the digital world around you.